everyone should have access to health care regardless of their income level. You know, we've made some progress with the Affordable Care Act, but we've got some major problems with that act. It takes care of the people that get the subsidies, that's great. But what has happened is the people that are in the middle class are paying more and more premiums. It's becoming extremely difficult for the working middle class to use the Affordable Care Act effectively. So we've got to fix that. I don't agree that we scuttle the whole program. But I think we've got to make some serious changes, and we've got to get it back so that we have more competition, more choices, and we get those health care costs down. The final area is the environment. You cannot have a good quality of life if you don't have a healthy environment. And we live in one of the most beautiful sections of this state. The reason we have gorgeous camps like this is because people send their children to Western North Carolina because they know these mountains, the rivers, the lakes, the woods have that natural beauty, and that their children can learn to appreciate and experience the outdoor environment. Well, we've got to protect our environment. And I look at the decisions our state has made with the environment, and it really concerns me. You know, they stopped emphasizing solar power. We were doing quite well bringing solar energy companies here, but they eliminated the tax incentive that they gave them. And instead, they've authorized fracking. They've authorized subsidies to fracking companies. You know, wrong direction. We need to be focusing on green energy, solar energy, bringing these jobs in. Not only are they good paying jobs, but they are good and compatible with the environment. We should be a leader in renewable energy in North Carolina. We should be trying to go in that direction. We should be looking at our water. Our water is essential. I mean, water is the basic of life. And yet, protecting our groundwater hasn't been a priority. Look at what's happened with the coal ash pits. Look at the decisions that have been made with Duke Power. You know, you cannot contaminate the drinking water for families and not be held accountable to fix the situation in an expeditious fashion. And we have not held Duke Energy accountable for that. And we don't have a good plan. And we've not told the truth to the people about their water. You know, so I think we need to really start looking with what we're doing in terms of the environment, and we need to be making decisions that say, you know, the environment is critical. We have got to be protecting that environment. And we do not need to do that in a way that injures our economic stability. I think the two are very compatible, but we've got to have reasonable and enforceable environmental regulations. We've got to have an agency that oversees it, and they've weakened the Department of Environmental Quality so that there's very few inspectors, very little oversight. And instead of fighting things, we need to work as a team with the federal government. You know, the EPA came out with new standards for carbon emissions for states to meet. So instead of coming up with a plan and trying to do it, our state is fighting it in federal court. So what does that mean to you? Dollars, right? We're fighting it. I think we're going to lose in federal court. We're spending lots and lots of money on lawsuits and fighting regulations. We've spent over $8 million defending laws that were found to be basically unconstitutional here in North Carolina, fighting those in court. We could have taken that $8 million and put it into public education. You know, it comes down to priorities. And my priority is not to be playing partisan games. I could care less about that. My priority is how do we work solutions? How do we effectively use the resources that we have in this state, the revenue that we have in this state, and how do we build the best life possible for the people of this state? And so that's why I want to go to Raleigh. I want to go there because I love this country. I served this country for 30 years. You don't spend your entire adult life out there defending the Constitution around the world defending this country if you don't have a really deep love for what we stand for. And I believe in the values of this country. I believe in democracy and freedom and equality and dignity. I believe in the American values that are at the core and the heart of this country. And we need to get back to those values. And we need to get back away from the divisiveness, the ugliness that has pervaded politics. And we need to get back and say, we need to be acting with honor. We need to have the courage to do what's right for the people, and we need to be committed to the future for our children here in Western North Carolina. And so I hope that you will put your trust in me the way the Navy trusted me for 30 years to serve this country, to serve you in Raleigh. And I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. Thank you. What can I answer for you?
HB2. What do you think?
HB2. You know how I said one of the things we have to have is good governance? HB2 is like that perfect storm of bad governance. One, there was no real problem. Two, they could have just left Charlotte alone. They could have thought about what they did a little bit more, or they might have realized the severe economic impact of hundreds of millions of dollars leaving. They might have not thrown in, all those controls over local governments and living wages that had nothing to do with that bill. That is just a bad bill. My take on that bill is it should just be repealed. It can't be helped, it can't be saved. It should never have been passed to begin with. And if Raleigh wants to exert more control over Charlotte, they need to find a better way to do it because they are hurting the people of this state, they are hurting the economy of the state, and they have hurt the reputation of this state. So I think it's time to have the courage to say, we made a mistake, and just repeal that law.
Thank you.
And just to say, here at a small place like Camp Pinnacle, we have lost weddings where people have said, we really, really want to come, but we can't book our wedding in North Carolina because our friends from California or our friends from Maine will not come. We know we've also lost campers from the Northeast that are like, why should we go to camp in North Carolina? We're going to go to New Hampshire or Pennsylvania because of North Carolina's law. It's not big, it's not big damage to us, but we feel it out there. It's certainly not helping.
And I've heard that from a number of businesses. I've heard that from the Chamber of Commerce in Transylvania County. The latest spin that's happening in the political world on that is people now saying, well, there's really not as much of an economic impact. I'm going, wait a minute, I must have missed something here because hundreds of millions of dollars to me is a huge economic impact. So, it's just time to get rid of that law. Yes?
North Carolina is one of the few states, you were talking about solar. We have some friends in Arizona, and Arizona's law is a little bit different. Our Utilities Commission, if you want to put solar panel, they restrict private industry for getting involved in it. It has to be through a utility, like Duke Power or something, or another utility. Whereas our friends out there, he goes into a Home Depot, there's a gentleman there who is an engineer, and what he's trying to do is he says, I will put the solar panels on your home. He gets like 80% or whatever of the revenue for 20 years. It's a contract. And you get the 20%, the other 20%. It reduced his power bill by 50% throughout the entire year. And he made a little bit of money. But just the mere fact that it reduced his power bill. And they were very cautious, and he said anything going wrong. But companies like that, or individuals like that, can't work with you to do that in North Carolina. And that's kind of a frustrating thing.
Well, you're absolutely right. North Carolina does not allow third-party energy sales, solar power sales. And that's something we should change. We should authorize that. You know, again, the question, you know, who are we making the legislation for? You know, we're making the legislation to help Duke Power, then yeah, let's not authorize it. If we want to help the people and we want to help, you know, bring energy costs down, get this industry viable here, then we ought to authorize that. So I am a firm believer that we should authorize third-party sales.
Yeah, and the energy company there in Arizona sent him a letter of thank you because, you know, they put it on the grid.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so they're buying the energy from them. They said, well, that's fantastic. They love it.
I think, you know, if we just open our minds a little bit to some of these, you know, ideas, there are a lot of things we could do here.
I mean, we certainly did it with beer.
Yeah, you know, so,
Certainly did it with beer.
But, so, yeah, I agree totally. In the back.
I would like to ask 2 questions if I could. The first is, as you go around the district and meet people, what do they want to talk to you about? What is important? Does it vary? Do people in Transylvania County want to talk about one thing, somebody in Polk County something else? And then I'll ask the second question.
Well, one of the big things people want to talk about is the economy. Okay, and that's sort of across the board. Because, you know, people are still hurting. People are still hurting, especially the young people, especially people that are working. They're worried about, you know, how are we going to, you know, get jobs here? You know, how am I going to have my children be able to grow up and stay in this area of the state if we don't get, you know, enough, new jobs? So that is sort of everywhere, and it's being approached differently. Polk County, you know, has capitalized on the equestrian area with their new International Equestrian Market. They've got their isothermal college now is offering, a training in how to be a groom, which I guess is a good paying job, with these fancy horses. Transylvania County, you know, has a public-private partnership that they're now targeting 6 different areas. But the economy is something that comes up almost everywhere. And the other item that comes up almost everywhere is education. People are really concerned about what's happening with our schools. And, I meet teachers across all of the counties. And the teachers are so concerned about not just their pay, but the way, you know, we've treated our teachers, you know, and shown that we don't value what they do. We don't provide supplies. We don't have up-to-date textbooks. You know, we've eliminated teaching assistants. We've eliminated tenure. We tried to eliminate their health plan. When I meet, you know, people that are involved with education, these concerns are there. You know, what is happening with education? And there's a 30% decrease in our teaching colleges and enrollments. So where are we going to get teachers in the future? We're going to have a shortage. So education's another one that comes up quite a lot. So the economy and education, I guess if I had to say the top 2 items that people talk to me about, those would be them.
And finally, everybody in this room knows how challenging it is for a Democrat to be elected in the 113th. Are you running into enough people who say to you, I don't like Democrats, I never vote for them, but because of your service to your country, because of your management experience, overseeing so many people, and anybody who's had a Navy career for 30 years has been through tough, challenging times, can all of us have some hope about your successful election? Because people who normally don't vote for Democrats are telling you they're considering voting for you.
You know, I think there are a lot of very unique things about the election this year, and this is the year when I think that we can really win this district. I think a Democrat can win this district, and that hasn't happened in 30 years. And, you know, the election is just crazy. You know, awful lot of people are discouraged with politics. But the other thing is, I'm a different type of Democrat than, you know, a lot of people are used to. And I'll tell you a secret. You don't have to dig into my past to find my deep, dark secret. I was a Republican for 25 25 years. Yeah, I was a Ronald Reagan Republican. I loved Ronald Reagan. I still